I, 27 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 28 male, for a little over 2 years now, and I'm 7 months pregnant. Last week, we went to his sister's wedding. I am not super close with most of his family, but we grew up in the same town, so I knew a lot of the people who were at the wedding. I haven't told a lot of people about my pregnancy. I've had a lot of anxiety about miscarrying throughout it, so we decided to only tell close friends and family, and when I post on any social media I wear baggy clothes and bows so that my bump is hidden. I wore a loose-fitting dress to the wedding, but it was still very obvious I was pregnant. Because I've been keeping my pregnancy pretty hidden, it was a lot of people's first time seeing me pregnant. And I had people coming up to me pretty much all night congratulating me. I could tell his sister was upset about it, so I tried to downplay it when people came over, but there wasn't much I could do about it. The day after the wedding, my boyfriend's mom called me, pissed off that I would say anything to people beforehand because I took the attention away from his sister all night. I feel bad for his sister, but I don't think I should have to make a pregnancy announcement before I'm ready. And I'm not sure how I could have told people beforehand aside from calling up the entire guest list, which is just ridiculous. My boyfriend is on my side, but his mom, sister, and apparently a lot of his other family members are upset with me. Am I in the wrong? Edit to clarify. The bride knew. Everyone's immediate family knew about it, and close friends knew about it as well. My boyfriend and I grew up in the same town, went to the same high school, but didn't start dating or even really became friends until after we graduated college. A lot of the wedding guests knew us, but we hadn't seen them in years. Most of them do follow me on social media though, because we all went to school together. The reason we didn't announce it on social media is because my boyfriend and I have a few thousand followers on Instagram combined, and there were maybe 100 people at this wedding who knew us enough to be shocked, but we weren't close enough with to tell. I didn't think about posting beforehand, but even now looking back I wouldn't tell 2,000 plus people on social media just so the 100 at this wedding would know specifically. My boyfriend and I live far enough away from our hometown where running into people and them seeing me pregnant is an issue. I am not going to make a full announcement until the baby is born. We were keeping it really secret until we made it to 20 weeks. Only immediate family and a few friends knew. And since then, it's been more like we haven't been going out of our way to tell people. And now for some comments. Read your post. There are a number of contradictions in it. You're right. You don't have to make a pregnancy announcement before you're ready. But you knew that you had reached the point that you were a walk-in pregnancy announcement. You went to great effort to hide your bump on social media, but not at the wedding. And if you're that active on social media, you could have announced it just prior to the wedding, even selecting those who could receive the message, and probably get all of the people on the guest list that you are friends with, i.e. the only ones who would have cared about this announcement. I'm not a fan of bridezillas who think everything is an affront to their big day, but I feel you are speaking out of both sides of your mouth here. You are not in the wrong. Anybody who's 7 months pregnant is going to get a lot of attention at any family/friend gathering, even if people already knew. Not just congratulations, but asking how are you and are you ready and everything. Hopefully the mother-in-law will back off. My wife, 29, made mention of a fine we need to pay over dinner last night. When I asked her what for, she was a little cagey, but finally admitted to using her cell phone while driving. When she showed me the evidence, I couldn't help but chuckle a little because it clearly showed a snapshot from my truck dash cam that she had backed into the truck whilst on her phone as she was leaving for work. I explained to her how it was from my dash cam, which then led to me having to explain to her that for the past few months, I have been giving my dashcam SD cards to my brother, who works for the arm of the police that monitors our traffic cameras. Cell phone use wireless driving in my country is endemic and contributed to more than 3,000 accidents or injuries last year. Several of my friends have been involved with or caused accidents due to cell phones. I had an accident in March that resulted in the serious injury of the three teens involved due to their driver crossing the center line while texting and driving straight under my wheels. I only found out when I went to visit them in hospital because I was so terrified that they might not make it. As a truck driver, I never thought my dash cam was of much use beyond capturing the idiocy of day-to-day road users or showing my version of events in a crash, but after my incident, I asked my brother if there was a way to use the recordings I have of people using their cell phone because I was so angry that people can get away with carelessness that can cost people their lives. He hasn't told me what happens to them, but getting the fine is proof it is working. My wife told me to discuss with my brother to get it dropped, but I told her I would just pay it. Then she called me a jerk for doing it in the first place. So I come to Reddit where mobile users abound and willfully received your vindication or damnation. Am I in the wrong here? And now for some comments. You're not in the wrong. If she didn't want to get a ticket for texting while driving, she shouldn't have been texting while driving. She isn't mad that you're giving the SD card to the police. She's just mad she got caught because of it. First, I've heard someone being called a jerk for doing good for the community. You're not in the wrong any time and day. Only reason why the wife is upset is because she got caught for it. She needs to grow up and be more responsible for her actions. Though it's great you're willing to pay the fine for her, but she should pay it herself. You are not in the wrong. She's a jerk for being on her cool and still somehow blaming you for the fine. Who cares if you hand over your dashcam footage? If she stays off the cell while driving, she doesn't get the fine. And if she told you it happened when it happened, perhaps you wouldn't have handed that footage over. Double karma shot for her. Please do not pay the fine. I, 33 female, have been with my boyfriend 35 male for over 10 years now. We have two kids together, twins aged 8, and I have an older sister 38 Nina who is getting married to Dan 37 male, and she has a 16 years old and a 5 years old from her previous relationship. She has known Dan for about 2 years now. Her wedding is in 2 weeks' time. I was meant to be a maid of honor and had my final dress fitting and everything about a week ago. Since Nina is very particular about how she wants her wedding to go, so the dresses took 2 to 3 months to be made. The maid of honor dress and bridesmaid dresses are slightly different, where the maid of honor dress looks more upgraded compared to the bridesmaids and is closer in style to the bride dress. Because I'm her only sister, Nina said she couldn't imagine anyone else wearing the maid of honor dress. Last week I found that neither my boyfriend nor my twins are invited to the wedding, as my sister has cancelled their invitations. The wedding is not child-free since her kids and our nephews and nieces are going to be there. When I asked her what was wrong, she said she doesn't feel comfortable having my boyfriend at her wedding because we are still not married, and since the twins were born outside of marriage, they cannot come in too. I was furious and have reminded her that she, herself, has 2 kids that were born outside of marriage. That is her first marriage, and she's currently pregnant with another one. Nina said she understood her sins and is working to redeem them, but her word is final. So me, along with a few other bridesmaids, have pulled out from the wedding and told her we will not be coming since Nina decided to uninvite our boyfriends and kids. I have also said I will not be giving my maid of honor dress either, since I have fully paid for it and for all the fittings. My sister called me a jerk and is asking our parents to do something about it, since she practically can't have another maid of honor and the dress will take too long to be made and everything is already fully paid. Am I in the wrong here? And now for some comments. Oof, you're not in the wrong. So they were invited and you made plans, then she uninvited them? Does this apply to all guests? That's your dress, you paid for it, it is yours. You're not in the wrong. That's cruel of her, especially to uninvite at the last minute. If pressed, you could sell the maid of honor dress back to her for the same cost you paid. What are you going to do with it anyway? But you are certainly under no obligation to give it to her. Good for you for not going, sticking with your partner and kids. You're not in the wrong. Your sister is serving holier than thou hypocrite vibes. Nina said she understood her sin and is working to redeem them. Sorry, working to redeem them? How so? By passing judgment on others and getting married so she won't have another child out of wedlock? Your sister seems to be confused by how forgiveness works. She won't be redeemed by pushing others down to elevate herself. I am 37-year-old male. My wife, 37 as well, is pregnant with our first bio child. We tried to have a baby in our 20s, went through fertility treatments and nothing worked. This pregnancy was a huge surprise and is a high-risk pregnancy. My wife is 20 weeks old now. My brother and sister-in-law have 3 kids aged 5 to 8. Sister-in-law was pregnant again this summer and had a miscarriage at 21 weeks. They were obviously devastated and we felt awful for them. My sister-in-law talks about her miscarriage a lot, which is understandable. But it has been making my wife really anxious, so I first asked my brother if he and sister-in-law, can just stop bringing the miscarriage up in front of my wife. He said sure, and he stopped. But my sister-in-law didn't. So I asked her to, and she said that she will try. But she did not stop. Yesterday they came to visit us with the kids to stay a couple of days for Halloween. At lunch, my sister-in-law said to my wife, 20 weeks now, huh? I remember feeling the baby at 20 weeks. Sadly, we lost him at 21. And my wife had a panic attack. Wife and I left the room and I came back 30 minutes later and just lost it at my sister-in-law. I told her to just for once shut the hell up about her miscarriage. But right now I feel like a jerk, really. So am I in the wrong here? And now for some comments. I'm going with you're not in the wrong. If it wasn't for her remark about I remember at 20, but we lost him at 21, I'd may be on the fence. But this feels like she's doing it intentionally. Pregnancy is difficult enough already without someone trying to make it more stressful for that person. It's fine to talk about your past and even dwell on it and feel the sting, but that doesn't mean you get to try to make someone else feel that way. You're not in the wrong. I am not going with no one is in the wrong here, because at some point, your sister-in-law needs to be able to read the room. You don't tell a pregnant woman, oh, this is right where I was when I had a miscarriage, because it's at best tone deaf and at worst cruel. I don't have kids, but had a sister who had a later term miscarriage, a stillborn, at about 5 months pregnant. It was awful. When I have pregnant friends, I don't share that story. I had 2 friends who had talked about some similar symptoms of what happened with my sister, but they aren't very specific. One being a lower back pain. Both times I told my friends take back pain seriously and call your doctor. Not my sister had a similar pain and her baby died, because that's just not helpful at all. Your sister-in-law has had time to process and isn't just sharing her sadness, but making your wife's pregnancy about her loss, which is totally inappropriate. Sure, your delivery could have been softer, but at that time your sister-in-law had deliberately told your wife she lost her baby at this same stage, setting your wife fully in a panic.